Poppy particularly likes to bake, savoury or sweet, but she loves to bake. Daisy had a really early interest, but it's disappeared for the last 2 years. And then the young ones just love getting involved. And all young kids love to get involved if you can possibly handle the mess. I know my kids are no different than other kids because we do it in schools, but like, you know, my 2.5-year-old knows the difference between a stinging nettle and a mint.
Wow.
You know, they're kind of similar looking. Yeah. You know, you wouldn't want to put one of them in your mouth. But you know, it's just, that's fennel. You know, so, and like even when they know what it looks like and what it smells like, they eat it. Like, so, you know, if I put herbs in their sort of salad for dinner, they might not be happy. But if they're in the garden, they'll eat them. You know, kids are funny things, man. I mean, like they're, all animals, all humans are programmed to obsess about sugar. You know, hence pollination and all the fruits in the world. I mean, it's a fact. But, so, you know, it's that whole conversation about finish a salad and then you can have a pudding, you know, and it's like that's still for all parents the biggest kind of thing. But also kids are interesting because like once they've had their dinner, like they may or may not be a pain in the ass for dinner for whatever reason. They're always changing, but like an hour later, you know, if they want to take something off your plate or out, if you're in the garden, like they're up for trying anything. It's interesting, you know. Well, even like raw broad beans were growing the other day, and like the first time Buddy, my 2.5-year-old, ate it, of course the outside's a little tannic and bitter, but the inside's sweet. But then actually once you get used to it, it's kind of quite nice. So for 2 days he didn't like them, he spat them out, and then like a week later he's just picking them himself. I think kids and food is just a journey, you know. It's we have a lot of fun with it, but I think also it does cause stress and hassle for my wife more than me. I think for a lot of mums, they get stressed about kids and food. I think there's a lot of guilt about food and kids. I think it's really easy to get in the wrong habits of looking after every single one of them. I mean, I've worked in a lot of homes where there's been 4 different meals for 4 different kids, let alone the dad. You know, and then then you start looking at a mum that's just stressed out of her head. So I think.
How does your wife handle that? Just make one meal for everyone? I mean,
she's really good with the kids. She's really good. I mean, I think she knows the kids so well that it's like it's much more of a kind of psychological warfare, you know. With me, maybe it's a masculine. I mean, I think that's why when you look at in a relationship, the man-woman thing, we're so bloody different, you know. But me, I'm just like, look, this is what you got. This is what you get. If you want to go hungry, go hungry. I don't care if you eat or not.
This is what
kids generally don't die from not being fed in this country. You know, they get ill from eating too much of the wrong crap. So I'm like, oh, if you don't want it, go. Jools wouldn't have that. She's much nicer. I'm more hard ass. But I tell you what, if she's not there particularly, no problem. If she's not in the room with me, it generally goes all according to plan. If she comes in and or if I come into her eating, like the kids, mate, the kids is the hardest thing in the world. I'm telling you, it's. Well, look, if you're talking about something that hypnotizes 98% of all kids. And represents you with nothing other than pleasure and the good things in life. Anything with chocolate, of course, you know. Yeah. Chocolate cake is like heaven on earth, isn't it? So, of course, that's the joke, that's the triple ace down in poker. But no, I mean, things that work very quickly for me is like, you know, any juices turn into little lollies. They love, and you can have fun with different coloured layers, and it's quite fun to do. Take frozen fruit, same amount of yogurt and a little honey, and you process it into like 30-second ice cream in a little cone. It's 100% healthy, and they think you're like superstar. I'm probably not the best person to give you food strategies on guaranteed sex because I've been with Jools since I was 18, which kind of
she already liked you.
Well, that means I'm probably out of touch. I think if you try and cook them anything, they're
just put love in the dish.
Yeah, I think if you cook them anything, I mean, ideally if it tastes nice, sweet, and if it's shared, that's nice. You travel around the world and there's still some very chauvinistic parts, and even if men and women are both working, Like they both get home and the men goes like, "What are you cooking?"
Yeah.
You know, so I actually, if you want brownie points with the girls, cook anything for them with love, and I think you're halfway there. But yeah, I've never really associated food with love. I've never associated food with shagging, although it's probably only a few steps removed.